In 1 Corinthians, St. Paul talks about the church as one body with many parts. He writes in chapter 12, verse 12, as the body is one, though it has many parts, and all the parts of the body, though many, are one body, so also Christ. For in one Spirit we were all baptized into one body, whether Jews or Greeks, slaves or free persons, and we were all given to drink of one Spirit. Now the body is not a single part, but many. Jumping to verse 19, if they were all one part, where would the body be? But as it is, there are many parts, yet one body. Very beautiful image St. Paul uses to describe the church in reference to the human body that is one, yet made up of many parts. So we want to think about some of the distinctive parts of the body that is the church which is at once united yet diverse. Each of these terms implies the other. There's no genuine unity without diverse parts to unite, and likewise, there's no genuine productive diversity without this diversity being united. Without a united diversity, we just have division. So this is the meaning of Catholicity. Catholicity from the Greek kataholos, which means according to the whole. And the whole forms a unity, but implies diverse parts. So here we have a quote of a second generation Christian, you could say, Saint Ignatius of Antioch, who was also bishop of Antioch and a martyr in the early church. In fact, somebody who was killed by lions. So someone like St. Ignatius shows the bravery, the courage of the early Christians to witness to their faith all the way to the end. When we read some of his letters that are left that he was writing even en route to his martyrdom, they're just so inspiring. So if you ever get a chance, just look him up online and read more about St. Ignatius. But one thing he writes in one of these letters is this: you must all follow the bishop as Jesus Christ follows the Father, and the presbytery as you would the apostles. Reverence the deacons as you would the command of God. Let no one do anything of concern to the church without the bishop. Let that be a valid Eucharist, which is celebrated by the bishop or by one whom he appoints. Wherever the bishop appears, let the people be there, just as wherever Jesus Christ is, there is the Catholic Church. He Katholike Ecclesia, in Greek, as he's writing in Greek. So we see several revealing things in this quote. The nature of the church, the united diversity, it is this one body with many parts. We see three distinct groups of the clergy, the ordained ministry. The bishop, in Greek, that's episkopos, the priesthood, the presbyteroi in Greek, and the deacon, the diakonos. So we see these distinctions, even this language in Paul's first letter to Timothy in the New Testament. We see these same distinctions being talked about even within the early church. So we want to think about the church in its hierarchical constitution. And to do this, we want to think about the term hierarchy. So I'm writing it here for us to think about together. Hierarchy. Now, when we hear this term in English, we tend to think of this as like we hear it as hierarchy, like there's higher and lower. But in fact, the term, when we look at the spelling, when we think about its origin, originating with Saint Dionysius the Areopagite in the 6th century, this Greek term, it doesn't necessarily imply a pyramidal structure with a differentiation of power in a worldly sense and a secular sense, where you might have the three orders of of clergy on the top and the laity there simply to pray, pay, and obey at the bottom. But rather, what Dionysius implies by this term is more the form of concentric circles, where to have power is to put it at the service of the common good, the servant leadership that Jesus advocates in the New Testament in his life and ministry. So every distinct order in the church is ordered to serve other ones. And this is how God works in creation through the administration of angelic beings, through the stewardship of human beings in earth, and so on, and how all the forms of administration and ministry work in the church. Every order is ordered and oriented to serve another. So this is what we think about further with the church, its hierarchical organization, where we do have pope and bishops and priests and deacons and laity, all collaborating in the shared mission that is the church. So we'll pick up again next time thinking about the expression of the church's faith in liturgy and sacraments.